Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okuru. A bomb explosion has gone off in Kano State, northwest Nigeria. The explosion occurred at the Kano GSM market around Farm Center on Wednesday afternoon. Details of the incident are still sketchy as officials are yet to confirm the incident. The incident occurred less than 24 hours after a similar explosion in a crowded park in Yola, the Adamawa State capital, left at least 34 people dead and 80 injured. Now, at least 32 people have been confirmed dead with over 80 others injured after a blast ripped through Yola, Adamawa State in northeast Nigeria. The blast occurred at about 8 p.m. on Tuesday in a lorry park known as Kasunwa Tipa. The scene of the attack was close to the main vegetable market in Yola, and the suicide bomber is said to have targeted traders as they were closing for the day. NEMA coordinator Saudu Bello put the death toll at 32, while 80 were put injured. No group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack, but all fingers point to the deadly Islamic sect Boko Haram, which has carried out several attacks in the northeastern part of Nigeria. The blast comes at a time when the world is still coming to terms with the multiple terrorist attacks in Paris, which left over 129 people dead and multiple others injured. Islamic State militants claimed responsibility for the attacks. Meanwhile, earlier this year, Boko Haram in a video pledged allegiance to ISIS militants. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the arrest of persons indicted by the interim report of the Investigative Committee on Arms Procurement. Among those to be arrested is Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki. A statement issued in Abuja by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, confirmed this. President Buhari on Tuesday had received the interim report of the Investigative Committee on Arms Procurement. According to the statement, the committee, which was inaugurated on August 31st, is yet to complete its work. But in terms, the interim report has unearthed several illicit and fraudulent financial transactions. Meanwhile, Dasuki has denied receiving any formal or informal invitation to appear before an investigative panel on the procurement of hardware, ammunition in the armed forces. President Muhammadu Buhari has launched the 20 billion naira anchor borrowers program for rice farmers across the country. Nigeria is the world's second largest importer of rice, spending over $1 billion on rice importation. The country spends nothing less than $3 billion annually on staple imports, there eating deep into foreign reserves. Africa's largest economy has now set itself a target of becoming self-sufficient in both rice and wheat production. The country targets to be self-sufficient in rice production within the next 24 months and 26 months for wheat production. Some experts have been speaking on this ambitious plan.
If you just look at, achieving self-sufficiency for food security measures and having some sort of a strategic reserve of goods for emergencies, this is one thing. But to do this on a commercial basis, to where these raw materials must also be used for processing, but also and possibly for export of not only the raw materials but of the processed goods, to bring the goods up to this level of quality will be very, very difficult. To have a proper, for lack of a better term, proper import substitution policy, which is what's really going to be needed for self-sufficiency. You need a great deal of ministerial coordination and coordination at the very, very highest levels of the government to create coordinated plans, to create disciplined plans as well, and to have a stable policy environment.
When we talk of infrastructure in agriculture, what will come to mind in our own context is power, rail, irrigation. We have very weak infrastructure here. We have shortage of skills and modern farming practices. And that's why basically even the 35% contribution to GDP is subsistence. We hardly find mechanized agriculture in the country. Then we have insufficient investment. Yields in Nigeria is a big problem. It's a weakness in the agricultural sector.
The trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has been stalled following the failure of the DSS to produce him in court. At the resumed hearing of the case at the Magistrate Court in Abuja two sets of lawyers who claim to be representing Kanu announced appearance. One of the lawyers, Vincent Obete, told the court that he was briefed by the family of Kanu to represent him, while the second lawyer, Gabriel Egbuli, said he was personally briefed by Kanu himself. Following the absence of the accused person, Magistrate Shoaibu Usman ordered the DSS to produce him on November 23rd to enable him identify his legal team. Kanu is standing trial for alleged conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, managing and belonging to an unlawful society, and criminal intimidation. An Igbo pressure group with the name the Igbo Conscience Group have come out to warn people or groups that are trying to cause ethnic crisis within the country with the recent call for secession by some youths in the eastern parts of the country to stop. Addressing journalists in Lagos on Wednesday, the group distanced itself and all Igbos from the present politically orchestrated clamor for secession calls, Biafra from Nigeria.
We are also saying that Nigeria should be restructured so that the federating unit must be given autonomy. And when Nigeria is properly restructured, where the federating units are properly autonomous, I tell you all these agitations from either Biafra or from the Yorubas or from the Hausa Fulanis, we cease. That restructuring is very key. And we are saying that when we do this, we think that Igbos and other tribes are better off in a united, prosperous Nigeria. Any other route, any other way is a very longer route for us as a nation.
But this one, in 21st century, we must debate. And we've been debating. Those people that you see on Facebook and internet were not born during the Civil War. I saw the war myself, even as a young person. I did not go to school for 3 years. And under my very good eyes, I saw thousands of Igbo children who were suffering from Kwachionko, then being taken to Ivory Coast, Gabon. It might interest you to know that the present president of Gabon was an Igbo son, or is an Igbo son. One of the young lads that were about 2-3 years old who were suffering from Kwachionko, thousands of them died that were flown to Gabon and Ivory Coast and other countries that recognize Biafra. Very good of them, although some of them would have been history. As I speak to you now, thousands of them are in Gabon, and they never returned because they had no place to return to. And of course, noises can be made. People can make noise. But when the time comes, the leaders will speak, and that's what we're doing now. We apply common sense. We speak because we speak from history. We saw the war. Some of these people don't know about the war. War is the last option. And in anything you want to do, you take it far.
A mother will not allow her child or her children perish. Biafra will never come to pass. And we are telling Nigerians, as a member of TIC, that we are here to stand, to educate our people. Most of them are young children. Let me use that word, young children, in as much as I'm also one. They do not understand what they are doing. So the whole essence of this is to be advocating, educating, synthesizing, telling them the disadvantages of war.
Newly appointed Minister of Science and Technology, Ogbonnaya Onu, has pledged that the Buhari-led administration would ensure that there are enough employment opportunities created for Nigerian youths. Speaking at the graduation ceremony of the entrepreneurs of the Technology Incubation Center in Lagos, Onu promised that the federal government would emulate other countries in its bid to ensure that Nigerian youths are not left unemployed.
We believe that if China can offer employment opportunities to her citizens, if India can have enough jobs for her citizens, if the United States of America can do that, if Germany can, then Nigeria should. Is that correct? Yes. And we know that it is possible, and this administration is determined to make sure that jobs are available for all those who want to work. I know it's not easy, but we are determined to achieve it. And what we are doing today clearly shows that it can be done. Because through these graduates, there may be 14 of them, but we expect that in the next few years, their companies will mature and be in a position to employ many, many more persons.
Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed has praised the role of the Nigerian Democratic Institute in ensuring the success of the last election in Nigeria. Speaking on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari, he also explained why it took so long for President Buhari to inaugurate his cabinet. He said the delay in the handover notes by the previous administration was a key factor in the reason why the president took so long to appoint his ministers.
Let me testify here that indeed the NDI is living true to its expectation and reputation for the critical role it played in ensuring the success of the last elections in Nigeria in March and April 2015, especially in the areas of capacity building and sensitization of the citizens. Through various seminars and workshops, the NDI worked to strengthen our democracy and ensure a peaceful transfer of power. Our experience in the last transition process was unique. Despite the fact that we have held many general elections and transitioned from one government to another, indeed the last election heralded the first real transition in the history of our nation, being the first time that an opposition party would sweep the ruling party out of power. When eventually the outgoing government finally sent its handover notes, they were not as helpful as they ought to have been. The notes failed to disclose the information necessary for an incoming government to be up and running. This explains why, upon assuming office, I had to take briefings from ministries, departments, and agencies for more than 2 months, even as I had to attend to other serious issues of governance. The inadequacy of the handover notes contributed in no small measure to the delay in constituting my cabinet, as I needed to have a clear idea of what my administration was inheriting. Had the system been in place, real-time information would have been available to assist the incoming government to quickly settle down, form its cabinet, and go about the business of governance. It is important to state here that every Democrat, every politician must imbibe the culture of true democracy, which implies that they will appreciate the power of the people in determining whether or not they remain in power. No administration must look beyond its immediate mandate, and elected governments must eschew arrogance and avoid personalizing and politicizing the system. It's absolutely important, therefore, that we put in place an institutionalized system that guarantees a seamless transition of power, whether intra, that is from a ruling government to itself, or inter, from the ruling power to the opposition. This will in turn reduce the kind of tension and anxiety that attended the last transition and set the tone for a predictable and orderly transfer of power, thus solidifying the concept of governance as a continuum.
Nigeria Senate President Bukola Saraki has said that no amount of intimidation will stop the National Assembly from investigating the alleged 25 billion naira Treasury single account fraud. Saraki was reacting to a motion moved by Dino Malaya on Tuesday over a newspaper article allegedly blackmailing the Senate for pointing out the alleged fraud. He said the Senate would not relent in carrying out its activities, including pointing out that any action that will be detrimental to Nigerians will be punished. The Senate had on November 11th raised alarm over alleged payment of 25 billion naira to one e-collection from remitter in one day as 1% of monies transferred to the TSA. It also directed its Committee on Finance, Banking and other financial institutions to public accounts to carry out a holistic investigation into the matter and report back in 2 weeks. Amid public outcry, the Nigerian government on Monday said the Buhari administration would not condone fraud of any sort. The Inspector General of Nigeria's Police Force, Solomon Arashi, has assured Nigerian citizens, especially indigenes of Kogi State, of the readiness of the police and other relevant security agencies to provide effective security and ensure a smooth and orderly conduct of the Kogi governorship election. The election comes up on the 21st of November 2015. The IGP, who gave this assurance while addressing stakeholders and police officers in Lokoja, also warned all trouble seekers to stay away from Kogi State throughout the period of the election. RC said the police will not hesitate to arrest and prosecute any person, no matter how highly placed in the society, who flouts the law or causes a breach of the peace. The Inspector General had met with squadron commanders earlier and assured them that the country was counting on their strength, commitment and loyalty to execute the elections in Kogi and Bayelsa states. We'll go on a short commercial break now. When we come back, we'll look at sports and international stories. Please don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on TV360.
2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. You're watching TV360 News now. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku, has directed the Department of Petroleum Resources to seal off fuel stations found to be holding petroleum products and dispense the petroleum free to the public. The minister gave the directive after a working visit to some retail outlets in Abuja. Meanwhile, the minister has scheduled a session on Wednesday with key operators in the downstream sector of the petroleum industry, namely the Major Marketers Association of Nigeria, Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association, as well as Jetty and Tank Farm Owners Association. The meeting is expected to mobilize the oil marketers across the country to cooperate with the government to ensure speedy clearance of fuel queues. Oil prices rose on Wednesday on reports of falling stockpiles and rising refinery activities in the United States, but analysts said a global supply glut would keep prices under pressure. Brent crude futures were up 77 cents at $44.34 per barrel after settling 99 cents lower the day before. U.S. crude futures were up 50 cents at $41.17 a barrel. Despite the gains on Wednesday, most analysts expect prices to remain low for the rest of the year and into 2016 as production continues to outpace demand. Explosions and heavy gunfire were heard in Paris as armed police searching for suspects from Friday's attacks raided a flat in the suburb of Saint-Denis. A female suspect blew herself up with a suicide belt, and some reports suggest 2 suspects also died. Some people are said to have been arrested, while confirmed reports say at least 1 suspect remains at large. The focus of the operation is said to be the alleged mastermind of Friday's attacks that left 129 people dead. The attacks have reignited a row over Europe's refugee crisis and drawn calls to block a huge influx of Muslim asylum seekers. Swaziland head coach Haris Bulunga has praised Super Eagles coach Sunday Olise for the tactical changes he made in the second leg of the Eagles' 2-0 aggregate victory against Swaziland. Bulunga, who admitted he was outwitted by Olise's tactics, praised the Eagles coach for making good changes to his personnel from the first leg. The victory, which is Olise's 3rd in his 5th match in charge, ensures that the Eagles qualify for the next stage of the qualifying round, which is in a 20-team group stage format. If the Eagles qualify to represent Africa at the 2018 World Cup in Russia, it will be the country's 5th ever World Cup after only missing out on the 2006 edition since making their debut at USA in 1994. Suspended FIFA and UEFA President Michel Platini and Sepp Blatter have both lost their respective appeals against the 90-day provisional bans slammed on them by the FIFA Ethics Committee. Blatter and Platini had appealed the bans placed on them by the committee following investigations of an alleged payment made by Blatter to Platini in 2011 over works done several years earlier. However, in a statement released on its website, FIFA has confirmed that its appeal committee has rejected the appeal filed by both men. FIFA has also confirmed that the provisional decision taken to ban the draw may still be confirmed, revoked or amended, while both men could now take their appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Rugby legend Jonah Lomu has died at the age of 40. The former All Black swinger has suffered from health problems since calling time on his playing career in 2002 due to a rare kidney disease, nephrotic syndrome. He underwent a kidney transplant in 2004 and had been on dialysis treatment for the past 10 years. Details of the exact cause of his death, however, remain unclear. We've come to the end of news now. We thank you very much for joining us. I am Thelma Okoro.